The Hidden Hindu, Book 1 of the Trilogy by Akshat Gupta, Chapter 10, Outdated Deciphered. Meanwhile, Dr. Shivansan had entered a place that was deliberately concealed. The room, with glass walls, had been carefully disguised. He had brought with him the book that they found in Om's locker, and he handed it to the old man. The old man's eyes beamed with excitement as he took the book and started turning its pages. But soon the happiness turned into fury. After a long silence, the man spoke in a trembling voice. "Where is the other half of this book?" Dr. Servanson stood confused and scared. He had thought the book was complete, though in a language incomprehensible to any of the members in the facility, and with weird diagrams, maps, and plans not easily understandable. Before he could say it all to the man shouted in rage, almost screeching, "I said, where's the second half of this book?" Dr. Shivansan replied hurriedly, "Sir, I don't know, sir. This is the only book we discovered from the lockers." He was terrified. The old man slowly twisted his fingers and gestured to Shivansan to come closer to him. Dr. Shivansan obeyed and kneeled on the floor near the man's worn-out chair. The old man grabbed Shivansan by his hair, looked in his eyes angrily, and said, "Look at this. Read this, you illiterate. Every alternative page in this book is missing." He shoved the book in Dr. Shivansan's face. "All the even number pages are intact. Here are all the odd numbered pages lie in the second book. This is a trick, so that the books are useless without each other. There is the other book now." "Where is the other book now?" Dr. Servanson could see no page numbers, but surrendered quickly, saying, "This is all we could get, sir. Dr. Butcher understood this book as soon as he looked at it." The old man replied, disgusted. "He understands things by looking at the diagrams of DNA and the extraction of genes from it. He can comprehend things but cannot conclude anything with this damned book, even if he manages to read and understands the language. No one can come to a result with this book because it is not complete. What else did you find from the lockers?" "Sir, everything we found was sent to your personal laboratory, except a map, which I handed over to LSD in order to decrypt," Dr. Servanson said with a dry throat. At the mere mention of a map, the old man's eyes glittered. "Map? That map is the key to the other book. How long will she take to decode it?" he asked rudely. "I don't know, sir." "Then ask her and tell me right away." "Sure, sir." Dr. Servanson left the room in haste, feeling insulted and terrified. Far off, in the woods, another man, his face similarly masked, joined the first one, with an ancient key in his hand. They were about to raid the building they were keeping a close eye on. Both set their watches to the same time, and one of them showed another the internals of the building. The moving red dots, the signal to the entrance that they had to ambush in order to break into the building. They decided on how many people each would take down, before meeting at the common point, a door in the building, without speaking at all. Back in the interrogation room, just as Om was about to answer Shahista's question, LSD shrieked, "Yes!" as she shot both her hands up in the air, as if declaring herself the winner of some unannounced marathon. The guards, out of shock, turned their guns in her direction on alert. All the heads turned towards her, and Dr. Servanson entered the room. LSD looked around and realized what she had done. When she looked at Dr. Servanson, her expression changed. Suddenly, she did not in fact feel like a winner, but a little girl who had broken her mother's favorite vase. She looked at Dr. Servanson terrified and apologetic at the same time. She was so scared that tears welled up in her eyes. Shahista stood up to console her, but Dr. Servanson stopped her from doing so. He walked up to LSD and took her hand to take her out of the room. When they crossed the door, she asked, "Why did you scream?" "Because I deciphered the map you gave me, sir." "Good, I was coming to you for it. Where is it?" "Sir, actually, in the map, they deliberately exchanged the latitude and longitude values of the location. The degrees and the decimals above that were interchanged. The water bodies were converted to landscapes and vice versa, so that the location couldn't easily be determined." "LSD, I'm not in the least interested in this. Just tell me the location," Dr. Servanson said rather impatiently. LSD rushed inside the room again, jotted down something on a piece of paper from her screen, came back within a minute. She handed over the slip to Dr. Srivansan and said, "These are the series of mountains, woods, and caves in Sri Lanka, and this is the exact location in the map." She pointed to a spot. "It's an old cave-like structure." "Okay, go back inside," was all Dr. Srivansan said. LSD didn't get her part of the much-deserved appreciation for her great job that she had done. But she was a self-motivated girl, and praise didn't matter much to her. She nodded silently and under her breath, "Okay, sir," and walked back into the room. Dr. Srivansan took a sigh of relief with the paper in his hand and rushed to the secure vault of the old man. Dr. Om Shrestri continued with his answer in the lab. "One day I opened my eyes in a hut with 3 old rishis. The hut was big and crowded with followers from outside. I saw them from the holes of the mud walls. One of the rishis came to me and asked, 'How are you feeling, son?' As Om narrated the incident, the picture started playing on the screen, wherein a fair and tall man above 50 years of age stood smiling. He was wearing a plain white kurta and dhoti, with a pair of wooden slippers. Red and yellowish threads circumvented his right wrists. White thread ran from his left shoulder to his right waist and back again. I can never fail to recall them and the first flashes with them, as they are the first people I saw in my life. I am feeling hungry, sir. Where am I?" "Before you ask where you are, you must ask who you are," the Rishi replied with a smile. "I want to tell them who I was, but I then realized that I didn't know it myself," Om confessed. "Who am I?" I asked. So that is why you said that you don't know your real name when we asked you about it. Abhilash intervened and had to bear the stares of Shahista and Dr. Butcher for interrupting Om. Abhilash read their looks and immediately understood that he had to remain silent. Om continued, and the screen too followed him. As the old Rishi entered the room, the others touched his feet and bowed in front of him with reverence. The revered Rishi sat beside me and put his hand on my head. "Why don't I remember anything?" I asked. "Because you don't need to. You are 40 years old. Consider today as your first day in the world. You need rest now, as you have many wounds in your body, some freshly stitched. So don't exert yourself," the Rishi said. I was lying on the bed and still could see scars and stitches on my hands and chest. "I am hungry," I said. "I know, son, but you can't be fed. You will have to stay hungry. Now you must sleep." The Rishi told me. One of the other Rishis signaled something, and he came immediately with a liquid in an earthen flask. I gulped it down in haste, as it was to quench my thirst. After a while, I fell asleep. When I woke up, it was dark outside. I thought I had slept for a few hours, but later I was told that I had been in deep slumber for 150 days. That is, nearly 4 months. It was raining when I had slept, which proved that they were right, because when I woke up, I was chilled to the bones. I was still famished, and nothing in the hut had changed. All the 3 Rishis still sat working by the fire, with herbs and solutions. I found myself lying on a mat on the floor. My body was still covered in stitches and cuts. The senior Rishi entered the hut again, and everyone bowed to him. He accepted their greetings and looked at me. He came to sit next to me and handed me a large vessel. Another Rishi came and poured water into it till it was full. I knew nothing as to what should be done with it. He guided my face above the vessel, and then, for the first time ever, I saw my reflection. My face was covered with cuts and stitches. My almost bald head exhibited signs of the battle I must have been a part of. One of my eye sockets was melted, and the other one was surrounded by a dark patch. I was terrified to see that my right ear was missing. I looked horrendous, similar to a demon. The visual of Om on the screen was so disturbing that Dr. Shahista and LSD had to look away. Nothing on his face looked normal. Every feature was deformed. "How do you feel, son?" the Rishi asked me. "Who are you?" I countered. I am Devotas, also known as the name of Dhanvantari. You can call me Kasajara. Kasaraja. This is what they all call me. Now tell me, how are you feeling? Kasaraja replied with an admirable smile. I am hungry, I repeated. I know, but there are 2 more full moons to go before you can eat anything solid. Till then, you must learn to endure the hunger. You must take only the potions that the sages prepare. How will I sustain myself? I will die, I argued. You will get through as you have done for the past 4 months. As a matter of fact, if you eat something, you will surely die. Now you must rest, said the humble rishi. Kasar Raja walked to the door to leave the hut when I asked, Tell me who I am. What is my real name? He turned back and said, You didn't have a name in the past. At present you will go by the name Mrityunjay and will have many names in the future. Kasar Raja then left the hut and called out, Sashtrata. Everyone looked at each other's faces in surprise as they heard Sashrata's name from Om. Everything spoke about Sashrata was making sense. The 10 sages, Dhanvantari, the Himalayan series, the knowledge of medicines, everything was in front of the team on the screen. One of the 3 sages in the hut was Sashrata. He stood up and called out, Ji Gurudev, and left the hut too. After a while, Sashrata came back with a flask in his hands. He came and handed it to me. The solution smelt like mint and was green in color. It was too ravenous to resist anything edible, so I consumed it in a single gulp. He watched me with pity in his eyes and a smile on his face. He was older than me. After a few days, he told me that he was 49 years old. Dhanvantari was almost 70 years old. After I drank whatever it was, Sashruta took it from me and said, I am Shashruta, one of the 10 sages Kasaraja has selected to impact the knowledge of Ayurveda too. We are the first 3 descendants of Kasaraja. Right now, we are residing in the Himalayan ranges. He is Devdrath, and that is Nagendra. As Om spoke, everything was clear as if it was happening right in front of their eyes. Dhanvantari looked godly but aged. Sushruta had a long beard and a calm face. Nagendra and Devdrath were clean-shaven, all wearing the same kind of old traditional outfit with wooden footwear called kada. When Sashruta was talking to me, Devdrath came in carrying a bundle of banana leaves and handed them to Shashruta. Shashruta? I didn't speak a word and just heard their conversation. Mrityunjay, I have to size all your scars on these leaves so that we can perform the surgery and remove them, Devdrath said. He took the measures and prepared some Ayurvedic medicine and herbal solutions and applied them to my wounds. With passing time, I started recovering. I got well acquainted with them as I shared the hut with them for months. As time passed, I started helping them in their daily chores and learned from them. I knew nothing about myself and the world, and so I started learning everything I could among them. While helping them, I gained knowledge of the Ayurvedic system and of medicine. Sashruta was the first descendant of Dhanvantari. Apart from practicing medical science, he was given a crucial task. The assignment was to compile the teachings of Guru Dhanvantari, add more to it with his own experience, and build a series of books, which in today's world is known as Shashruta Samhita, exclaimed Dr. Butcher from behind Om. Om paid no heed and went on. Shashruta Samhita is an important classic Sanskrit text on surgeries by Sashruta and is one of the 3 foundational texts of Ayurveda. It has been divided into two parts, Purva Tantra and Utter Tantra, in 184 chapters containing the description of 1,120 ailments, 64 preparations from mineral resources, and 57 preparations based on animal resources. Shahida whispered into LSD. Primal mentioned the same Shashruta, and you read out things about him. About Abhilash was trying to prove the superiority of his mythology over science. Who is Shashruta? Shashruta is said to have been a physician originally from South India, active in Varanasi. He used to use the dead bodies floating on the Ganges River to perform and practice things that no one ever dared to do, like adding body parts from one dead body to another. One from the earliest known mentions of the name is from the Bower manuscript, 4th or 5th century, where Sashruta is listed as one of the 10 sages residing in the Himalayas. The Shashruta Samhita was later translated into Arabic and then to English, based on which the modern science of plastic surgery was made, written, and performed. It won't be an exaggeration at all to say that Sashruta was the first plastic surgeon of the world. Dr. Butcher replied in a hushed voice. And who is the Dhanvantari whom we saw on the screen and all mentioned? Asked Shashida, with a lot of curiosity. Kasaraja, Devotas, and Guru Dhanvardi are all the names of one person. Dhanvardi is believed to be the god of Ayurvedic treatments, Abhilash elaborated. It is said that he reappeared as Devotas, the prince of Banaras, and is also known as Kasaraja. LSD joined in the conversation. Abhilash carried on, saying, Dhanvantari relieved the other gods of old age, diseases, and death too. He enlightened 10 sages with his skill of surgery on the Himalayan retreat. Sashruta was considered by Dhanvantari as the best pupil, and so he also taught him other divisions of Ayurveda. Dhanvardi is regarded as the almighty of all and branches of medicine. There is a voluminous glossary in Dhanvardi Ninantu, the most ancient text available in its field. We worship Dhanvardi for good health, especially on the occasion of Dhanteras, one of the days that is counted as part of a festival of Diwali in Hinduism, which is considered the birthday of Dhanvardi, Abhilash narrated. Back in the old man's room, Dr. Srivatsan heaved a sigh of relief while handing the map and the piece of paper with the location jotted on it, and the old man who praised Dr. Srivatsan for the rapid results. Dr. Srivatsan hadn't recovered from the trauma he had experienced when he last came into his room. The old man, being thoroughly absorbed into the enthusiasm of the accomplishment, didn't notice Dr. Srivatsan's gloom and ordered him to the same task. The new task for Dr. Srivatsan was to send Virabhadra to the location marked on the map and bring back whatever he found straight to him. Dr. Srivatsan silently collected the map from the old man and left the room. After a while, the masked men in the woods saw Virabhadra walking out of the facility. The three-dimensional view of their screen showed the facility where Om was being kept hostage. The location where Virabhadra was heading to was Sri Lanka. Ross Island, being the extreme south of India, wasn't very far from the spot. Virabhadra ordered one of the guards to arrange a private chopper because he was given very little time to finish the job. The men saw a map clenched in Virabhadra's hand and guessed the development instantly. They were compelled to alter their plans. They now decided that one of them would follow Virabhadra and the other would keep an eye on the happenings in the building. One of them gave a part of his weapon to the other and left to follow Virabhadra. The chopper in the air was being shadowed by an advanced speedboat on the waters below. The discussion between Paramo and Abalash stopped midway as Dr. Shervanson returned to the interrogation room. As he entered, his image flashed on the screen, which proved that Ohm recognized his presence with closed eyes. Dr. Shervanson saw his image and babbled with irritation. "Why am I on the screen? What is going on here? Why don't you guys do sincerely what you have been called for and return to your respective homes?" he thundered. His behavior was unexpected and left everyone stunned. Dr. Shahista and Dr. Butcher came closer to him to ensure he was all right. Dr. Shervanson didn't entertain them and sent them back with a swift movement of his hand. Ohm was staring with a wild expression at Dr. Shervanson and closed his eyes again, and he saw Shahista walking back toward him. Shahista sat and signaled to Ohm to go on.